Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman, here as always with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Hey, Tony, you remember earlier in the season when you talked about the fact that if one of us gave the other one a free bold predictions pick that didn't hit, we were basically the worst person in the world and should just be on the count of shame for the rest of the season? You remember saying those exact words in that exact order? Because I remember them.
I would have to go to the transcript to see if that is correct, and it does not feel correct. I don't even know why you'd bring that up. I'm not sure. Oh, Tom, what happened last week with the bold predictions?
Well, the one that is supposed to be the free bold prediction that we give each other in the spirit of kindredship and togetherness and what have you. Yours turns out didn't hit, really leaving me kind of high and dry. And think I think you probably owe the listeners an apology.
Now that I think about it, your words were that my words were that if we were to ever give a free prediction that does not hit, then we are put on the count of shame the entire year. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I believe that was accurate. Yes.
And did you agree to that?
I'm certain that I did. That does sound exactly like something that I would agree to moving forward from that point on. Not anything retrospective, because we don't want to change. You don't want to go back and change the rules retrospectively, Tony. You don't want to be that kind of person. You're already one bad kind of person. You don't want to be another.
Because there was a free prediction that you gave to me for Western Kentucky, in which Kyle McCord and Devin Brown would both pass for at least 17 yards. That did not hit.
Well, yes.
Do you recall, sir?
Yes, and then we had the conversation after that, with thus my reference to not applying it retroactively. Was there a question, sir? I don't think I heard a question there.
Permission to treat you as hostile?
It's the bold prediction show. We've been treating each other as hostile for years on this show.
All right, since to let everybody know, I did win. It was a big week for me. I got one prediction right, and Tom did not. So a blowout, shutout victory. Could not win by any more. I won by infinity, in a sense.
Yeah, this is like the Brian Ferentz bold prediction show where it's like, what's the absolute bare minimum? We start the year and it's like, all right, you each have to get one bold prediction right every week to keep your contract. It's like, it doesn't sound that hard. And then here we are, and I think we're behind pace.
But all of the bold predictions have to involve the tight ends. No bold predictions for wide receivers.
Yeah,
bold prediction: my quarterback will complete 46% of his passes.
That's new school record, I think. So why don't you go first, since you're already in a feisty mood?
I boldly predict, Tom. My first one is that there will be a season-long punt return for Ohio State this week. Jaden Ballard had the season-long last week in the end of the game, an 18-yarder after Emeka Egbuka was out. I'm going to assume Emeka Egbuka is also out this week, in which case Jaden Ballard is going to be trying to make a mark and trying to do something. That may also lead to a turnover, but that is not one of my bold predictions. I will say at least does it have to tie or does it have to surpass? I guess at least a 19-yard punt return for Jaden Ballard or anybody.
This is one where it would be a season long, and it's not like the season long right now is 2. So yeah, I'm gonna say season to say season to record a season long. I feel like he needs to pass the previous number, otherwise it's just tie. So we'll say 20 yards. But yeah, I think that's
well, it was 18 last week.
Okay, well then 19. Okay, yeah, all right. Let's see. You know what? Let's just come out of the gate just on fire right here. Tony, we mentioned Brian Ferentz earlier. We're going to mention Brian Ferentz again here. This is what happens when I have too much time when we're messing around between recording sessions. Ohio State currently averaging 9.3 yards per pass attempt this year. In Iowa, averaging 5.3 yards per pass attempt. So a difference of 4. Ohio State outpasses Iowa this weekend, who they are notably not playing. Iowa playing at Wisconsin. Outpasses Iowa by not 4, 6 yards per attempt this weekend.
We are now getting into the weeds of we're stretching the bounds of the one game we're supposed to be boldly predicting, and now we're going to be tying in parlays from this game too, and also Blake Corum will rush for at least 45 yards. So you're saying Ohio State? Give that to me again, please.
Ohio State outpasses Iowa by 6 yards per attempt this weekend.
Now, does Iowa play a game this weekend?
They play at Wisconsin this weekend.
And by 6 yards. Now, this is going to take some time, Tom, because I've got I've got 4 teams to look at. You're throwing Wisconsin and Iowa in there. Now I've got to see what they do. Now, notably, this Iowa quarterback that they have right now, and I use the term loosely, is he's been like 12 or 48 or something. Not that bad, but the last 2 weeks he's been pretty darn close. Deacon Hill, all due respect to the Hill family and Deacon himself, 17 of 48 the last 2 games, completing 4.3 yards per attempt 2 weeks ago, 5.2 yards per attempt last week. So 6 yards. You say at least 6 yards better.
At least 6 yards better. And Ohio State averaging 9.3 yards per attempt. So they would have to be, even if Iowa does exactly what they've done in the last couple of weeks, Ohio State would need to be at least a yard or 2 per attempt better.
I think this is Iowa's week. So we'll allow it. And
I was just waiting for you to say, you can't do this. Iowa has a bad quarterback right now, which...
All right. Here's one for you, Tom. Somebody from Ohio State will lose yards rushing who hasn't done it this year. And I'll give you the guys who have. Travion Henderson, Chip Trainum, Xavier Johnson, Devin Brown, Kyle McCord, and of course, the worst of all, Cody Simon.
All right. So you're predicting Mayan Williams, Marvin Harrison,
Emeka. No.
Emeka.
No. I mean, he's
Julian. Julian Fleming. Carnell Tate.
No Lincoln Keenholz kneel down because that's a team loss. So,
got to tell you, that was not my top concern. Was it Lincoln Keenholz or Tristan Gebbia kneel down here? But this feels like a trap. But I'm just going to go ahead and put my full force of the weight on the suspiciously raked dirt and assume that this is all going to go fine. Yes, Tony, go ahead, take this one.
Just take a big step, Tom. Don't worry about it. Just take a big step.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is the time of year where you just have random piles of leaves on the ground. I'm sure I can just step on this with no concern about what's underneath it. It'll be fine. All right. Let's see. How about this one, Tony? I think we have established at this point that 220 is probably, given the current realities of the college football world, not really in reach anymore, especially given the current realities of the Ohio State offense. So, Tony, I will posit this as a possibility here. This is something that Ohio State, I believe, has not done outside of the Western Kentucky game, and they might not have done it at all. I meant to look that up, and then I didn't. But it is right here in front of me, and they did not do it against Western Kentucky. They did do it against Western Kentucky, yes. So something they've only done against Western Kentucky when they scored 63 points. 150 yards rushing, Tony, which a number they've only gotten to once this year, and 250 yards passing. Okay.
One of mine is, we've really had to dial it down, 180. Now, can these coexist?
They could.
Is it bad?
I think they could.
Is it just...
I'm trying to decide who would have the advantage there, because I think the forecast is not supposed to be great, so the passing might be dialed down a little bit.
But this team doesn't normally rush for 150 yards, let alone 180.
Yes.
Should we just agree to be amicable here?
I don't like this new bold predictions show format that we're working on here, but I think, I don't honestly know which one of these I think is more likely to hit, so I'm going to allow it because I can't really fight you on.
So you said 150, 350?
I said 150, 250. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
If you want 150, 350, I will let you have that one, and I'll come up with another one involving, New Mexico or something.
That would take my next one.
Oh, all right. So now we both have 2, correct?
Now I have 3.
Oh, you
So
have
go
3.
ahead.
Okay, so it is my turn. All right. So let's see. Ohio State recovers a fumble by a Purdue quarterback. So a Purdue quarterback fumbles the ball, and Ohio State recovers it. Tony, if they are in Wildcat and the guy takes the snap, he is the quarterback for the purposes of that play.
Now, if
Ohio State has only recorded 2 fumble recoveries all season, and at least one of them was not. I couldn't remember where the second one was. I think Tyler Williams might have gotten one from a quarterback. Tyler Williams had one. Davison Igbinosun had the other, but I don't know if either of them was actually from a quarterback.
What are we thinking about with like a halfback pass or a receiver pass?
It has to be the player who takes the snap to start the play.
All right. Fair enough. We're kind of on the same page because I think there are going to be some Hudson Card turnovers in this game. So, for 1 point, I'm going to allow that. And because again, for 1, you got to force a turnover. 2, then you got to recover it. And so I'm good with that. I will allow that one. So my next one is, how about this? See what you think. Exactly 1 play of 17 or 34 yards.
So if there are 2 plays of 17 yards, or is this for one team or both teams?
Both teams, exactly 1 play of 17 or 34 yards happening, and can't be more than that. Only 1. I have no idea the numbers on this one, but I was going to say at least 1, but I thought if I just take it down to exactly 1, then that makes it.
Yeah, that makes it. That makes it something that I grudgingly have to accept because of the stated rules of the game. So, because you used the holy numbers, I have to grudgingly allow this. Because this is another one where it feels like floor pie, and end up hanging upside down from the ceiling because I don't like when I don't have the historical data to back up. Hey, turns out secretly this has happened in 57 consecutive games, because it absolutely could have, but because of those numbers, I have to allow it.
One of the ones that was sort of like this that I was going to go with is that Ohio State will have a score from a yardage that ends in 7, right? And they've only had, of their 19 scores this year, only 3 of them have had that happen. But then it's still like, well, it's happened 3 times in 5 games. So, that's why I didn't go with that one like that. But I would like to know, does this happen 26% of the time or 6% of the time? I don't know.
All right. Well, I've got 3 more 1-pointers, and I think I'm going to go with. I can only give you 2, so I'm going to take this one. Of the 4 starting, and I'm kind of making air quotes here, Ohio State defensive linemen, and I'm gonna specify JT Tuimoloau, Tyleik Williams, Mike Hall, Jack Sawyer. Those 4 defensive linemen. 3 of them have at least 1 tackle for loss in this game. That is something that has not happened yet this season. There was one game where 3 of them were on the stat sheet for that, but only one of them only had a half a tackle for loss. So 3 of those 4 guys have at least 1 full tackle for loss in this game.
This is one that I like and I hate, which means it is accepted, because watching Purdue, I've watched them against Iowa, and now I've watched them against Illinois, and they do allow some tackles in the backfield, and they can get swamped, but has not happened. As we know, anytime you start getting into the tackle for loss and sack category, things get really, really disappointing in terms of the bold predictions. So to even argue something like this, one that the way they're playing right now, this should happen. But it may be, like Sonny Styles had a tackle for loss, but it ended up being a tackle right on the line of scrimmage last week. That it can happen that way. And so I'm going to not be okay with this, which means, Tom, that I am okay with this.
All right, fair enough.
I've got one more 1-pointer.
1 more 1-pointer, that's right. All right.
So this is something that Ohio State has not yet done this year, or has not been done by Purdue. I am saying Ohio State holds the Boilers to 70 yards rushing or under.
70 yards rushing or under. So Ohio State, yes, gave up 71 yards rushing to Indiana. And
Purdue's low is something like 80 something.
Yes, Purdue's, it's 80 exactly against Syracuse. Yeah, I don't really have grounds to fight you on this one, very disappointingly. So here we are. I guess I have to allow this one through. This show's gotten a lot less contentious, but a lot more sort of resigned since I think we've sort of dialed in the here's a loophole I can worm my way through. All right, so here's one. Purdue has not been held under 200 yards passing yet this season.
Don't.
No, well, hang on. So, Tony, if they haven't been held under 200 yards passing this season, what would that work out to on a per half basis?
100.
There you go. All right. Ohio State holds Purdue under 80 yards passing in the first half this weekend.
Tom, let's take a break. See, the annoying thing about this is to know how often they've done this in the first half. Like either school, you'd have to go through each of the box scores. And this is one of those time loopholes. This is why I suggested last week when we should submit our bold predictions a day in advance rather than springing on them. And the defense has had no time. I don't know who these witnesses are. Judge, I don't know who these people are. We have not had time to go through the depositions of any of this.
All right, I will tell you what. I will go through here, and you can pick. Here's Purdue's. Purdue scored 35 points against Fresno State, 24 against Virginia Tech, 20 against Syracuse, 17 against Wisconsin, 44 against Illinois, and 14 against Iowa. Which game would you like to hear? You want to hear about the Iowa game? Let's talk about the Iowa game. In the full game, they passed for
247.
247 yards. In the first half, they passed for less than 247 yards. Well, let's see. In the first quarter, they threw for 52, and in the second quarter, they threw for 70. So 122 yards passing in the first half last week against Iowa.
The Ohio State pass defense is very, very good. And from what I've seen of the Purdue pass offense, they're going to need to connect on some big plays. And that's something that Ohio State has not given up.
I will tell you, Tony, the Iowa pass defense currently ahead of Ohio State both in yards per attempt and also opponent adjusted yards per attempt. Iowa's pass defense is 4th in the nation, and that Ohio State's is 7th.
And my problem, Tom, is that I'm begrudgingly going to go with this because I don't feel like looking through the Ohio State box scores. And that's more of my issue right now, because I would bet of their 5 games, they held the opponent under 80 yards passing in the first half at least twice. But that's something I'll deal with that later. I'll go through and I'll check later. And we can go ahead and agree with this, go with it, and allow it, because there's a home game next week. And so I've got time to make up for it's okay to be amicable in a situation where there's only bragging rights on the line, and I have those. And even if I lose, I'm not giving them up. I'm gonna brag. I got
so there's nothing on the line. Then.
I got a bold prediction right last week. That's me. I got 2 if you count the one that you gave me. That's 2. How many did you get right? None.
So really, we tied if you really think about it.
All right. My 2-pointer kind of goes along. Well, this might be a 3. I've got two that might be 3s, and we'll see here. My 2-pointer, I will go with this. Carnell Tate surpasses his season totals in this game. He has 5 catches for 83 yards and 1 touchdown. So
he surpasses. So he has at least 6 catches for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Well, here's the thing. As I was reading that, this is my original 3-pointer. I moved it up to 2. If we're going to move it to 2, I want to take that 1 touchdown off. If we're going to keep it at 3, I can go 2 touchdowns.
I kind of want to hear my other choice here.
The other is 3 Hudson Card turnovers.
Yeah, boy.
Because right now I have it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even a 2. Yeah, I had the one that I had as a 1 that I didn't go with was Ohio State is +3 in turnovers, and that's not just Hudson Card, but it feels like Hudson Card might be doing a lot of the heavy lifting there if Ohio State's going to get to that. So that doesn't really feel like a 2-pointer to me. So
3 interceptions. That's something that when was Ohio State? When was the last time Ohio State had 3 interceptions in a game? I can tell you that if you give me a moment.
Yeah. Okay. So while you were looking at that, I'm going to. Well, I'm definitely going to say the Carnell Tate one is going to be your 3-pointer.
Okay.
684 and 2 touchdowns. I think that's a very worthy, noble 3-pointer. Since you figured out your 3-pointer, I'm going to put in my 3-pointer right now. And Tony, we're going to do this as a parlay.
Oh no!
And the parlay is anytime touchdown scorers. The Ohio State team total for touchdown over under is 4. So the expectation is Ohio State will score either 4 or 5 touchdowns. I'm going to say, Tony, these 5 players are going to score at least 1 touchdown for Ohio State. Anytime touchdown scores for Ohio State. Travion Henderson, Marvin Harrison, almost said Zach Harrison, Cade Stover, Julian Fleming, Xavier Johnson. 5 players. Each of them scores a touchdown. 4 of them can score a touchdown, and if the 5th one doesn't, I get 0 points. But if all 5 of them do, 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, I have to allow that. The number of 5 touchdown parlays, Tom, that I've lost this year. I'm gonna go ahead and allow that because that may be all of the 5 touchdowns they score, and to get straighter box, as they say, with the pick 3 or pick 4, that's a winner. Real quick, Tom, what was your last 1-pointer? Because I did not jot that down.
That Purdue has under 80 yards passing in the first half.
Oh, now I'm angry again. Okay, yeah, all right. And in terms of the last time Ohio State had 3 interceptions, it was the Penn State game last year. 2 of those were JT Tuimoloau. Can't expect that to happen again. They did that the game before that as well against Iowa. And you can't expect, I mean, this is not Iowa's offense that they're facing. So
I'll tell you what, I will tell you what, I will allow that for your 2-pointer if you allow me to have Ohio State +3 in turnovers for my 2-pointer. Because it feels like those 2 are closely related, but not exact.
Well, the good thing about that is I can check and see when the last time Ohio State was +3 in turnovers, and we can see how often it actually happens.
I don't think it's happened this year because I kind of did the quick and dirty search on the stat sheet, and they've
been +2 twice.
Yeah, they've only been plus. I think they're only plus like 3 on the season or something.
You know, the last 2 times they were +3.
Was it both against Purdue?
No, it was the Penn State and Iowa game that they had the 3 interceptions.
So go ahead and tell me, Tony, why that is way too recent for me to receive 2 points for this. Go on. Yes.
It is too recent because I just made a prediction based on those games, Tom. So what are we saying? +3 in the turnovers for your 2
Ohio
pointers?
State is +3 for 2 points. Man, I got to tell you, this is going to be the week when that'll hit. We'll both be, a number that would have won in like 6 of the previous 7 of these is going to lose this weekend. That's what's going to happen here. Someone's winning like 4-3.
That may have only happened like once or twice in the history of this contest. And I'm sure it was me. I do remember that. I think my high maybe it's 5 points. That might be the all-time record. I'd have to go back and check the books and the media guides, but I think that's right.
There was one where I hit a 3 and a 2 at least. I think I hit a 7 or an 8 at some point last season, I think. So
well, and we were playing with a 5 and a 10 last year too.
Well, I don't think either of us ever actually hit the 5 or the 10 though. No.
So let me come up with a free prediction that is sure to hit, Tom. Sure to hit. Emeka Egbuka. Okay. Keon Gray's.
Yeah. Joey Galloway.
Let's say Kyle McCord completes a pass of at least 9 yards.
Okay. All right. And mine for you is going to be over the span of the first 57 minutes of this game, Ohio State exceeds its point total from the first 57 minutes of the 2002 game at Purdue.
Is that 3?
That is 3. And if they, I think they scored, wasn't it with like a minute and a half left? They scored that, something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so Ohio State scores scores 4 points.
Yeah. Yes. They're playing a Big Ten West opponent, so a 4-point total is within reach. That is a possibility on a wet and sloppy day against a Big Ten West opponent.
And safeties count.
But they're points, yes. Do you remember the Michigan 5 Purdue 0 game at Purdue in 1995? If that happens, good news, you're getting your freebie.
So OSU scores at least 4 points in the first 57-30, first 57 minutes.
Oh, I'm going to say 57. I'll give you. I've given you only 4 points, so I think we can narrow it down to the first 57. I don't think you need the extra 30 there.
Okay, 57-01. In fairness, show history 57-17.
If I got to tell you, if this one doesn't hit, we're going to have much bigger problems, such as the end of Western civilization, at least in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, people aren't going to care so much about our bold prediction contest if this happens.
That will not be the lead conversation of the post game show if this does not hit.
No, but I'm looking for. Boy, if I were to. I'm thinking I'll go, my over-under is probably 5.5 on this one. So on my score total, yours, 3.5, 2.5, but we'll see. It's going to be a fantastic game. Maybe a little bit of weather, maybe a little bit of wind. Tom's not concerned. I'm not concerned for Tom. I never am. I'm just going to let it ride out there down on the field. And it's going to be a fantastic time. 12 p.m. on Peacock. And if you haven't yet, if you're a Spectrum subscriber, go ahead and Google Spectrum free Peacock. You can, there's a code there that you can get it if you have not yet for free for like a year or a month or something like that. So just a little tip out there for all of you. And a reminder, please check us out. Check us out at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Become a member. That is a great way to support us and what we do in this show and everything about what we do over there. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys later.